Hello, Pastor Joel here from Chico First. And sometimes life is overwhelming and it can feel like we're not strong enough or even smart enough for whatever might come our way. And see, when that happens, can it still be well with our souls? I'm going to here tell you that yes, it can. You see, the Bible is full of promises about God's presence with us and his continuing care for his people. One promise is when we find in Psalm 121. It's where the psalmist lifts his eyes up to the hills, he says in verse 1. In the ancient world, you lifted up your eyes to the hills to look for help. And so the psalmist in Psalm 121 is expressing his fear about some terror pressing in on him. Where would the help come from? You see, in Israel, a very hilly region by and large, it often came from the hills, their help. And so the onlooker in a surrounded city or village would see the needed aid and allied army or band of soldiers come into eyesight over the crest of a hill, and he would be filled with relief. It would be well with his soul because he saw the help coming. Yet in this psalm, things take a turn. The psalmist says, I lift my eyes up to the hills. And then he asks a question, from where does my help come? He asks himself after scanning the world around him and looking for any help anywhere. And then he remembers the Lord God. And he says, as if to himself in verse 1 and 2, my help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. You see, here the psalmist's eyes of sight become eyes of faith. He consoles his heart with the presence of God. God is with him, and so he will not be overwhelmed, regardless of what appears around him and in the hills. He reminds himself that God is the creator, and so he's sovereign over the whole universe. And so the psalmist goes on to recognize more things about God and who he is, as he switches to using the word you, as though to speak to all of us who are reading this psalm directly. He says, he won't let you be moved, verse 3. He hasn't fallen asleep, verse 3 and 4. He will keep you and give you covering, verse 5 and 6. He will preserve your life, verse 7. He will keep all of your comings and goings, verse 8. Where do your eyes turn when the overwhelming things of life prompt you to lift up your eyes up to the hills? Where do you look when things seem to be closing in around you? Let us remember at these times to look on the unseen things, to remember our Creator who is sovereign over all things and who will protect us, who will preserve us, who will go with us, and who will never, ever forsake us. He is always enough. God is where our help comes from. God bless you.